Welcome, everyone. It's really nice that you are joining our Urban Lands talk about urban doers. Today, as usual, we've invited different speakers that will give us insights on, in this case, local initiatives or small businesses and NGOs that can support the EU ambitions, for example, to make cities climate neutral. This is why today we've invited 2 urban doers and also one person from Net Zero Cities and also from the European Commission that will join us today. I would like to invite you all in the audience and participating to write on the chat, where are you joining us from? And just as usual, we will not share a presentation. We will mostly be speaking during the time. So you can take your chance to have lunch or maybe go for a walk, whatever you prefer. All right. So as I said, we invited 2 urban doers from our Urban Doers community that it's formed by 20 initiatives that actually met last week in Lisbon. And these 2 speakers that are joining us today are Josip Rotar, who is an advocate for sustainable mobility in the Maribor cycling network in Slovenia. So Josip, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. It's nice to be here and thank you for your invitation. So, yeah, I'm working in Maribor cycling network, and this organization now celebrates 30 years of existence. I'm part of the organization since 2009, and it's basically NGO, mostly critical, but sometimes also try to collaborate with the city because we want to promote cycling and improve conditions for bicycle riding for everyday use. And I'm also a member of the city council. We have our own party of cyclists and pedestrians, and 3 times I was already elected as a part of the city council. So I'm actually part of it and have the opportunity to address all the challenges with the sustainable mobility inside the city's council. Yeah.
Thank you, Josip. Our second speaker is Elena Gales. She's joining us from Fragment also. Would you like to introduce yourself about your where you work and yeah, a little bit more?
Sure, thank you, Anna. So my name is Helene Galles. I work in Oslo, Norway, in a small architecture firm called Fragment. And we work on community-oriented and nature-based solutions for architecture, landscape, and urban planning. And within this, I have a particular focus on social sustainability and participation. And we're working to explore new and better ways that communities can actively engage and shape our surroundings. Part of this work is also done with the Hat of Placemaking Norway, which I founded, and also collaborating with a lot of placemakers and community initiatives across Europe and beyond. So I'm very excited about sharing some of our insights here, and it's really nice to see in the chat that there's people from not just across Europe, but beyond. So very excited about this invitation and the opportunities to have a little lunchtime chat with whoever's inside the session and whoever's joining as listeners. Thank you.
Thank you, Helena. We also invited 2 speakers from the Net Zero Cities and also from the European Commission. And today is joining us Anna Hyttönen, who is working in Net Zero Cities. Would you like to say some words and introduce yourself to all the participants?
Yeah, hi everyone. Good day, everyone. Very nice to see you all, or at least know that you're there on the other side of the webinar. My name is Anna, and I work as a city advisor within the Net Zero Cities. And the Net Zero Cities is the platform that's implementing the city's mission. So the aim of getting 112 cities around Europe to become carbon neutral by 2030. My background is in sustainable mobility. I used to work in a city myself before joining the Net Zero Cities 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago. And now I'm working with 10 cities within the cities mission. I work with the 6 Finnish mission cities, 3 Norwegian cities. So hi, Helen. And then Kosice in Slovakia. Also one pilot in Norway, additionally, and so for supporting some German cities as well. I have a role that 16 other colleagues of mine also have, and we're spreading our support across the cities in Europe. And of course, we invite all the other cities to join as well going forward. So very happy to be here and looking forward to the discussion going forward.
Thank you so much. And I would also like to introduce my colleague, Johannes Riegler. He's working in the DUT management team, and he will also participate as a speaker, asking questions as he's been organizing the event last week together with our other colleague, Lisa. So Johannes, would you like to maybe share the background of what is not only the UT, but also the Urban Doers community, and why was it created in the first place, maybe?
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, yes, of course, I would be delighted to do that. So, the Urban Doers. What is an urban doer? How we as Driving Urban Transition define an urban doer, that is all these change makers on the ground, if you will, on local level. May they be organized as grassroots organizations, associations, as small micro businesses, everybody who drives change in their cities. And why we think that that is really relevant for driving urban transitions is pretty simple, because if we want to achieve all these European global goals, we cannot not touch upon these experiences and knowledges which are in the local ground. But we have to also see that that the logics between, let's say, European research and innovation funding and how that is organized differ from, let's say, the realities on the ground, the realities of how these urban doers work and integrate. And I think it is a great, this is of course a challenge, but also for achieving this, let's say, UN and European goals of being close to citizens, to the residents. I think it is so important that we support these very local initiatives in ways that they can be also ambassadors to their communities, in their networks, to build really this link between the local, the European, and the global. And how we did that within DUT, we developed, or we conceptualized, the Urban Doers community. That is an initiative which we would like to work with on a European level with multiple of these initiatives throughout the course of a year. We started, and I would share some pictures with you. We started the journey about a year ago with the kickoff meeting in Vienna. You see the participants here. We could support 20 of these initiatives, and it was really a really impressive journey, which we are about to end now or bring to a close. We had a closing event last week in Lisbon. You see some images from there here. And what we did is we really brought everybody together to once more synthesize their knowledge, synthesize their experience, and develop policy recommendations with us or among them, which we will develop into a policy paper, which will be then put forward, to policymakers that they can get inspired by that. It was a really nice experience again. You see just some images here. And that is the last photo when we closed it, when we visited Community Garden in Lisbon. And it has been, at least for me personally, a really great year to learn, not only from, but also with the local initiatives, with the Urban Doers. I hope we can do a second cohort, a second round of this, because it is so valuable. There's so much knowledge which we can just not afford to miss if we want to implement European ambitions and goals.
Thank you, Johannes, for that background. And yeah, it's, I mean, the Urban Doers communities are rather like large group. It's 20 initiatives. We, of course, cannot talk with all of them today, but we have our speakers, and I would really like to hear from them a few examples of how does your work contribute to making the cities a better place and also maybe more sustainable. So in your experience, how would you describe that? Can you give us a few examples on how you link, how your work is linked to European ambitions, but also maybe the municipality ambitions? Helena, would you like to go first?
Sure. So I think on maybe an abstract, but also a very specific level, a lot of my work deals with kindness and facilitating ways that we can be nice to each other. And it seems like such a silly thing, but it's really how you create a sense of belonging where you are. And I think that also has radical implications on a lot of metrics of sustainability. And a very specific example of that is that I've worked a lot with at-risk youth, that maybe they're the problem, or you know, for anything ranging from unemployment to crime to drugs, whatever. Or maybe they're just untapped resources. And if you create projects where you allow people that are supposedly problems to show themselves for who they are, the kind of innate human capabilities they have, and then you see a community coming together around community events planned, organized, and evaluated by teams of teenagers. So you take people that are tentatively problem kids and you let them be role models in their community. And maybe this is just small and silly, or maybe this is actually how we fix things, you know? That's how we bring people more together and start talking to each other and with each other, instead of just yelling at each other and using all caps in social media and, you know, continuing to polarize ourselves. So yeah, so cultivating kindness through a range of projects that in different aspects bring people together, as I see that as a very significant contribution to social sustainability, but also as a side effect, environmental sustainability.
Thank you. And Josip, what would you say? How do you contribute?
Yeah, I mean, for us, Urban Doers were just the right moment to come together to this community, because we were a little bit after 30 years of work, maybe a little bit in the existential crisis. Also, this comes with the major organizations, sometimes because you are working too much on the projects and just working, and then it was really good time of self-reflection, because seeing so much different people and initiatives around Europe doing very similar things and very concrete, you know, because these European institutions, sometimes you have this impression that they are a little bit alienated from what is actually happening on the ground. And we were just simple, you know, from the beginning. We just tried to communicate with as much as possible people from a local community, from the municipality, and show them what is good and what is wrong, what cyclists in the traffic need, what are their needs. So we were really focusing from the problem to the problem and how to solve it step by step, you know. And what is really important for me, I think it's really that you have a place, common place, and where you can get together all the community. And in our case, this was our bicycle kitchen program, which is open every Thursday So everybody from the community can just come and work together with the bicycles. People from different social, economical, cultural, ethnical backgrounds come together, you know, and just work. Sometimes not work, sometimes just drinking beer, just talk about the problems, the issues, you know, just to open this safe space to talk, you know. And this was like the first beginning, and this really proved well in times of Corona when everything was closed down and it was big social repression in Slovenia, and people really need some channel just to come together and talk, you know. And yeah, that's
Joseph,
basically it. Yeah.
it is my understanding as well that you've worked together with the municipality.
Yes.
Could you tell us a bit more about that? And also, Elena, if you have that kind of experience on how you helped maybe municipality, that would be really nice to hear as well.
Yeah, like we have different scales of municipalities. Maribor is like second biggest municipality in Slovenia, so with more than 300 people employed in the city administration. But you have also smaller municipalities, like with 5 employed people. So the scale of knowledge and the scale of competence is really different in Slovenia. We have 212 municipalities in Slovenia, and like working together with Maribor, sometimes it was hard because there were old-fashioned mentality, really car-oriented, especially in the department dealing with the traffic. You know, there were guys, only men, like 10 years ago, I remember there were only men driving cars to their job. And, you know, it was really hard to explain them what are the needs of cycling people or walkers or somebody pushing the stroller or, you know, people handicapped. But now in recent years, it's getting better and better. Also, because of our work, which is like grassroots, but also because of the work of the on the national level, like ministries. They're really good doing their work because, like in the recent years, we had these sustainable urban mobility plans, which were funded by the ministry. With European funds, and like a lot of small municipalities could get into the process and receive precious knowledge how to do it, you know, how to start the process, how to start to talk with the people in their local community. So it was really like two approaches. One was bottom up, and another was top down. And I really think that in Slovenia these two approaches in the recent years come together really well, and this is good basis for future improvements.
Yeah, I totally agree. What did you think, Helena? What would you say?
Yeah, in terms of having had an impact on the municipality, I think going back to the youth projects again. So it's more than 10 years ago that I started the first sort of green job, summer jobs program with local youth. And it was really bothering me that the municipality had, it wasn't bothering me, but it was just such a lost opportunity that the municipality would also have summer jobs for youth, a few of them, and they would mainly be about picking trash or sort of very uninspiring jobs. And when you're working with vulnerable youth, you shouldn't be telling them that you're only good for picking trash. You know, these summer jobs, it will be their first contact with the labor market, and it's an opportunity to showcase you know, how to be a respected employee, how to be a good colleague, how to be someone that makes your community better. So I started with projects in urban agriculture and involving youth in that. And they may or may not be interested in urban agriculture. That's all right. It's also their first job. I don't expect them to be urban farmers in the future. But it's really nice hearing the youth then tell, from way back then, telling me that it was so nice for them to receive positive comments from other people in the community, just walking past and giving them high fives for the good work they were doing. So these small programs, like questioning, should teenagers be working picking trash? Is that really what we want to show them that they're worth? I don't know if it has directly inspired, but it has definitely been part of a chain reaction. That means that the municipality now works very differently with these programs, and they have much more sort of community-oriented programs for these summer jobs. And even though I guess over the last 10-15 years I've probably employed directly or indirectly at least 100, probably more, no, must be closer to 150, 200 teenagers. The municipality works at a different scale, so they can have a small impact in the life of vulnerable teenagers that can reach thousands. Every year there's several thousand short-term summer jobs for teenagers in Oslo led by the municipality. So challenging by showing them better ways of doing things. I think it's a good way to work with the municipality.
Yeah, and also keeping in mind that you are an architecture firm, I think you are rather broad actually in your scope of action, and that's really inspiring to hear.
Although it's only the last year that I've been working in an architecture firm, so
okay.
Before that, it's been I guess we've been a community-oriented startup would be more the role that I had before this.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Then maybe I would like to hear some insights from our speaker, Anna Hyttinen, and how do you see these activities or local initiatives relate to net zero cities?
Yeah, thanks. I'm very happy to. I don't know, I would have so many reflections also based on just what Josep and Helen said on the sustainable mobility and the challenges on the field that you can face. And also what Helen, that's amazing how you've been kind of part of changing the way of working. That's of course also what we foster from the Net Zero Cities. The transformation of the whole city and ways of working to achieve climate neutrality. But I would like to go back because I think Josip was basically explaining what we also kind of encourage the cities do within the Net Zero Cities. Within the Net Zero Cities, the 112 cities, they have to create a climate city contract. And one part of the climate city contract is the commitments document, where they have to bring in all different partners from stakeholders groups. So there has to be companies, there should be, or we encourage, there are businesses, civic society, academia, etc., and of course citizens. And that's how it works, right? We won't be climate neutral if not everyone is on board, because the city cannot do it alone. And we already start seeing very good examples from our cities. Some of the cities, when they develop the climate city contract, they start the process with engaging stakeholders. They start engaging the NGOs and discussing with them, okay, how do we better work together? How do we create functioning working relationships? How do we improve the resourcing of your work that also kind of helps us to achieve the goals, etc.? And this is, of course, extremely important. But then on the other hand, we need the national level for the regulations, incentives, etc., as well as the local level. So these all different parts play so well together. And I think what for instance, Josep has been doing in Maribor is a great example of that.
Maybe can I ask you, Anna, just on the top of my head, I'm curious, like how can municipalities encourage other stakeholders to collaborate with them? Is there any tool that you use, or is there any support available? at least in your experience?
Yeah, we provide support from the Net Zero Cities platform, from the cities to, for instance, create workshops and ways of bringing the stakeholders in. We also have the Pilot Cities program, where we have 3 cohorts of cities already. And a lot of these cities are actually taken as their kind of concentration point in the project, the stakeholder engagement. For instance, Turku is developing there from the first cohort or pilot, so they have already been running their pilot for 1 year, so they have some insights. They're developing a climate ambassador network with they actually, here comes a challenge that they spotted. Their aim was to bring in NGOs as climate ambassadors, but they had several meetings and workshops with the NGOs, but then they came to a conclusion that they need to find out the way to resource their work to be part of this network, because with the very tiny resources that the NGOs have, they need something ready to work with. They cannot be part of the work with the resources that they currently have. So this is definitely something for everyone, us here also, to think about. And then on the other hand, for instance, Aachen did a very big project around stakeholder engagement, developing their climate city contract. And they were also having workshops with civic society and NGOs, and discussing with them how they can bring in as partners. And of course, now they're then continuing the work and considering how they work better together. And this is, I mean, happening all over Europe as well. Also, for instance, in our Norwegian mission cities, etc.
Anna, might I ask a question to Josip and Helene? I think it's so impressive. I also got to know you better, of course, over the last year and your work. It's really impressive to see what you're working on and how you contribute to change on a local ground and take it up from transitions up from a very community-based level, right? Where you link this your ideas and ideals with kind of European ambitions. I would be very curious to hear how do you see yourself contributing to European ambitions? Because you don't necessarily have to, right? On a local level, you work with different ideas and with different logics also, but I sense that your work is so relevant for a European level, and that would be very interesting to hear from you how you see that, also from your experiences now from the Urban Doers community. How did that link with, you were part of the policy conference, which we had in Brussels. How did that link? Did you find links? How do you see that?
Okay, maybe I will first answer. Well, from the perspective of a city like Maribor, which is like geographically not so far away, but in the reality, it's maybe not in the first circle of cities which are like very connected to the European agenda, because we are still a small city and with culturally maybe okay, yeah, we are not in the center. That's what I wanted to say. But still, what I see in the how ministries and also a lot of different institutions in Slovenia refer to the European funds, they have this really crazy name for it, like we are pumping or extracting the funds, you know, that they are not actually doing in this both directional way, referring to the European ideas, but just like in this one way, we are just extracting the funds, you know. And sometimes I really miss in this the whole idea why we are actually doing this, you know. And when we try to solve some issues in the local environment, we really use this knowledge as a some common base to get good examples, good experience, as Anna mentioned before, communication with different you know, stakeholders, bring them together to the same table. This is so simple, but people still forget sometimes about this.
Josip, may I interrupt? Because you also used the word alienated in your introduction, right? Which is a very strong word. Did the last year help you to de-alienate, to kind of connect better? Was it helpful in a way to be part of not only working locally, but in, you know, building the connections?
Yeah, in a way, yes, because urban doers from different cities around the Europe, you know, they are very similar to us. How they think, how they work, you know, and in that sense, you have feeling that there is some brotherhood, sisterhood connection with different organizations, and they still have similar problems with the city administrations, with the governments in running their cities, and but at the same time, when we were in Brussels, you know, there were also people from ministries, people from national agencies, people working also in the European institutions. And sometimes I have this feeling that they were talking one thing and we are doing another thing. Like they are talking about, yeah, our ambition is Europe to be CO2 neutral until 2050, but still don't talk about the way how we want to achieve this, the way that we want also to be, you know, working on the processes involving people, working on the democratic processes, because we are young democracy still. We want to this was my impression sometimes, but still I think that we need a lot of common history together on a different scales and different projects in order to achieve this. Mm-hmm. Because nothing is automatically given to us, you know. Do you think I answered your question, or?
I think very good, very well. Yes, I think so.
Okay, thanks.
We also have Marie, who is a senior expert at the European Commission, who could maybe share a bit of herself and her experiences, and also how you think the local initiatives can help you to reach your ambitions. Marie, Girojani.
Thank you very much, Anna. Hello to everyone. I'm sorry for the delay, but it's the European Week of Regions and Cities, and today also we're issuing a release of more cities, to more 20 cities receiving the award label for climate neutrality by 2030. So it's a very busy day, and I'm very happy to be with you. I've been working the last 12 years, 30 years in the European Commission on natural disasters, and then on the certification and dryness, so all related to climate, and the last 12 years working on the cities file. And with the climate neutral and smart cities mission, and as main contact person for the Drive Urban Transitions Partnership. So what I would like to say that this indeed for 2 days now in the European Week of Regions and Cities, and in the just finished the mission city session, which says from design and planning to implementation. So I would like to point out that the local initiatives are very important, and the engagement of the local communities, empowerment of the local communities, that they feel that they are with us in the design, in the planning, but also in the implementation. And so going further to this is the multi-stakeholder approach. So public, private partnerships. So if you want the 4P, so public, all public entities, but also private. So public, also academia, researchers, research institutes, and then private sector, so startups, SMEs, developers, investors, and people, citizens. So practically leaving no one behind. That was one of the key lessons learned during the sessions yesterday, International Cities Mission on Clean Energy and Renewables, the Urban Transition Mission, which reflects under mission innovation the international dimension of the cities mission. Today we had the city session. And so the point was everyone on the board. This is a very challenging and ambitious operation. And not only the 100 cities in Europe to become climate neutral, but to be front runners for the rest of the cities to follow. And how? I think our mission platform, the Net Zero Cities mission platform, is really a pillar supporting these cities to continue their ambition with climate neutrality, the labeled ones, but also the rest of the cities to follow by example, the labeled ones and also the non-mission cities to join in this climate neutrality journey beyond 2030 until 2050 to achieve the EU Green Deal. It's very important to map what we have, share knowledge, exchange knowledge. This we did, and I'm going to share the yearly mapping, which is also on the portal of Net Zero Cities. But we continue to do that, share all the information, solutions that already exist, not reinvent the wheel, open access to everyone.
Yeah, that sounds really, really
Okay.
wise. I also agree that the way ahead is this multi-stakeholder approach, so bringing different types of stakeholders into the conversation and into this mission. But I would, in that sense, would like to hear what our urban doers could say about that. For example, what are the main challenges that you might face when it comes to joining projects or to participating in this mission with together with the cities? Helena, would you like to answer that, or also maybe the previous questions from Johannes?
Yeah, my main challenges. Well, I have many thoughts on that. I think maybe two main categories would be as a funded partner. There are so many challenges as a tiny micro SME to be able to work with European funding schemes because the payments just don't match the realities of a tiny entity. So you're asking people to go without pay for months, basically. Yeah, so it's just something at the core of how SMEs and small NGOs are invited in to collaborate on the same terms as large universities, as high capital startups with fantastic long-term profit objectives, to put us in the same category and expect us to have self-funding and expect us to wait 6, 12 or 24 months after we've done the work to get paid, that just, it doesn't work. So that's something that needs to be radically reformed. And that leads me to the second part is in so many of the processes that Anna mentioned, all the cities need to tap into the local knowledge to go from talk to action as soon as possible. And so say, if I was in Maribor, there should be a possibility for my city to contract Josip to get us up to date on exactly what are the issues and what's the current knowledge and what are the current gaps. But instead, I see it again and again in projects that since that's not possible, then the municipality rather spends a year to do it to sort of bring themselves up to level in knowledge, wasting time, not using the money wisely, because surely that is much more expensive for someone new to get their knowledge up to what knowledge Josep has in this example. And it slows down the process. And our time gap of having some meaningful impact on climate and sustainability, that window is smaller and smaller every year. So being so strict on being able to pay for the time of the local experts, I think that's a major roadblock from going to thought to action. And also from a European project or larger projects, if the starting process of a year is so slow and so sort of, I think it takes the velocity out of the initiative, because you're being so thorough and slow and detailed and bringing in someone who may not even have in this example, mobility background to be the project officer of a project. Yeah, so it takes the speed out of these projects that really need there to be an sort of sense of urgency from the beginning, and also to make things happen, not so we can make a beautiful report after 4 years, but that we can have meaningful change in the first milestone in month 6 and month 12 and month 18, so that we're much quicker taking advantage of all that amazing knowledge. The Urban Doers network that Johannes has helped facilitate, that's just one example. But there's so many of these knowledge people that are ready to share their knowledge. Just pay us for our time.
Thanks, Elena, for your honesty and pointing out the specific issues, such as the terms maybe of joining projects. I would like, of course, to invite you all to respond to this if you have something to add. And maybe also I wanted to note one thing for the Urban Doers that are joining us. Please write your questions and also maybe information about your initiative in the chat.
Yeah, just quick response to Helene, because we also talk about this in Lisbon a little bit. It's actually the question of with whom small organizations like NGOs and companies want to collaborate, because sometimes this connection with the bigger partners is a little bit exploitational, and if you don't receive money, okay, you have to receive something back, in a sense that this collaboration would also make you richer in another way. Is it experience? Is it giving you some really good insight, or is it giving you some new ideas or perspective to raise you on some other level? I don't know, but it should be, in both directions.
So I know this is a problem, investing a lot of time, a lot of energy, and of course money. Time is money. And then maybe this proposal does not go forward. Now, what I see from my experience, from at least the ongoing project consortia, my advice would be look what there is available as what is ongoing, and try to connect with scientists, with partners on the ongoing consortia XYZ project, and show your interest that you want to participate. Because what I see, the ongoing projects, they are all already preparing for the future. So to ensure continuation funding in another direction, or to develop an area of the project. So that's why it's very important to know what is ongoing, what we have done, what is really at this moment running. So that would be my first advice, and try to join, to create synergies with the existing ongoing projects. And the other thing, so be aware, is raise awareness, be aware of what is on. Also speak with your city's advisors. There are the city's advisors for each city, for instance, and also please look in the Net Zero Cities portal. You have all the advice, all the guidance there, how to join the group, because we want everybody on board. It's not dedicated to a part of stakeholders. And also here, I want to mention the existing network of city science initiatives. So connecting researchers, academia, research institutes with municipalities and with private sector. This is a network which is an informal network. Already 40 cities have joined, but we have a lot of stakeholders joining the network, is to exchange exactly this on these problems. What are the needs of the cities? What are the needs of the researchers? How they can have better access to results, to solutions. This is called CSI, and I'm going to put to join the community of practice, because that's how you create your synergies and you find your way. Thank you.
What I also see from reflecting a bit from a DOT perspective, right? I think it is so essential that we come, or that we have this conversation with, in that case, Urban Doers, and with Helena and Josip, to see also, not to, you know, to provide, to see what the needs are and what the frameworks are which are needed to have this very local knowledge and experiences lifted, you know, and develop the tools from that perspective. I think that is essential for if you want to have transformative research and innovation, which touches up on the ground. You can have it on different levels, but in if you want to go to the neighborhood scale and take residents for and citizens for European ambitions, I think this is essential. I would have a question to actually all of you. So Maria, Josip, Helena, and Anna, and it's a bit of a personal question, but how do you see, how does it feel to drive change? Because I think all of you are somehow driving change on different levels, right? So Maria, you work in the European Commission. Josip, Helena you're very local, and Anna, you're somewhere in between, I suppose. So I would be very interesting. How does it feel like to drive change? Maybe let's start with the local level. Josip, how about you?
Yes, sometimes
is it
it's really
exciting? Is it
time
exciting?
consuming. It is also, but you know, it's a mixture of feelings. Sometimes it's very time consuming, takes out the energy, and sometimes, you know, it's ups and downs. But I try to look at it from the long-term perspective as a marathon. So actually, you should put your mindset in this marathon work, because mayors come and go, you know, different administration workers come and go, you know, but if you are really focused on your work, your organization can someday achieve very long tradition and achieve also some improvements. Like, for example, in 2004, when I was still at the university, I remember that Maribor modal share of cyclists were less than 1%. And now we have around 15%, for example. So this is some kind of achievement, which makes me a bit proud. And also, it's good to have this feeling that you are also part of the story of success. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
How about you, Helena?
I think the very small stories are the ones that stick with me. One of them is just one of the, we were doing a research project collaboration with a research institute about composting, composting in the city. And one of the girls, who was, again, typically from this marginalized background, said, you know, finally I get it, what sustainability is. I have learned about this in school for 12 years. I have memorized it for tests, and it just never meant anything. But now I've seen that, you know, oh, plastic doesn't disappear, but biodegradable stuff does. Okay, so if we want to do something that is sustainable, we should make something that nature can fix by itself, like that realization. So these small moments, I think they add up. Yeah, and they give the inspiration to continue.
Nice.
Maybe I can go next, or if we go level by level, being in between. I think it requires a lot of resilience to be a change maker. I mean, I have so many kind of memories from working in the city and be the one driving the change, which is sometimes very challenging. It can also be frustrating. And if Josip says a marathon, I always say it's an ultra marathon, to be honest. And then now when I'm kind of a little bit on the other side of the table, but still with the cities, I feel that I'm there to support with the challenges, of course, with my colleagues as best as I can, and then kind of celebrate for my city's wins, because in the end, they do all the work, right? And we're just facilitating and we're supporting, and of course, it's always a reason to cheer when something goes to the over the final line. So yeah, I think it's resilience and it's a bit fluctuating feelings, definitely all the time.
Very nice. Marie, how does it feel for you to be a change maker on European level in some sense?
I feel enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel enthusiastic, especially today when I saw in front of me the cities of Kranja, of The Hague and Aachen exchanging. It's such an enthusiasm. There are common points, there are common issues, the solutions, how they did this, that, and really having examples and putting on the ground now their actions and really saying, which area, which district was benefited, what happened with the citizens. So, and now they're going, of course, to meet the rest of the cities, because it's not a common typology. Each city has its special features. But the nice thing that is on this journey, each city finds the sister city, and so they can exchange. It's really a wonderful operation. And
how does the experience of the urban doers in the room resonate with you? How do you take that up?
what do you mean?
Their experiences from Helena and from Josip, how they, from their work, from their stories which they
Yes,
told. How
yes.
does that resonate with you?
I think that they are absolutely part of this operation and they need to be there. And I think that they really give a more dynamic spirit, if you want, in at least for the mission, but also for the drive urban transition, which is again for the implementation of the mission. So I think it brings a lot of dynamic potential, a lot of dynamism, and I think that I'm available. You can write to me, and also Johannes, we can exchange together, and get them on board. The urban doers get them on board of everything that we are doing, and they think that okay, they're not quite a part of it.
Yeah, beautiful. I think we should have these kind of conversations way more.
Yes, definitely.
Sorry, Anna, for hijacking.
No, no worries. We received a couple of questions in the chat, so I would like to read it to you. In your opinion, who do you consider to be the main actor to set up or to strengthen the involvement of different stakeholders that can later on result in future projects involving small communities or NGOs? I don't know if I need to rephrase the question, but who do you think is maybe taking the lead, or which stakeholder is important to involve? Because it's a common feedback apparently in the research and innovation projects working in cities, climate and environment, that the stakeholders are not fully active. So who do you think is the main actor to set up or strengthen such involvement in the cities projects, and research and innovation projects. Who would like to take the lead on this question? It could be just a guess. It doesn't have to be set on stone.
If I can say something, I mean, all these projects, they have a coordinator. So first of all, it's their coordinator who has to cluster. He has to cluster his work and his projects with other projects. So not to keep it closed, but really to share, because information is good and when it is shared and useful. So exchange of information, raising of awareness, bringing the stakeholder platforms, joining the stakeholder platforms on relevant issues and thematic clusters with webinars, for instance, like the one that we are doing. And of course, we need, you need always to have someone from, if we are talking about the municipality, the science advisor to the mayor. So everything has to be brought to the attention of the decision maker. So you need also the level of power with you. So it's a multi-level governance.
Thank you, Mary. We also got other questions in the chat. Maybe I can read it to you, and we, if that will be the last one because we are running out of time. It's from Matthias, and it's written on the chat. It seems to me that it's rather huge. There is rather a huge gap between policymakers and funding institutions, on the one hand, and local initiatives making it happen, and other groups of urban doers. Then there are some people in between that engage in finding opportunities for their consultancy business. The question is, how can more opportunities open and stay alive for local initiatives, not local governments, and doers that do not end up feeding the consultants and overhead costs? With most part of the funding, okay, it's a long question. Also, how can values that are created through projects contribute to local actors and doers to sustain and advance their capacity?
A lot to unpack there.
Yes, it's a very long question.
Yeah.
I have a quick comment on the list of those.
That would be great.
I always do it in projects, but I think it should be highlighted in the project calls. I make sure that when we are spending project money, we are spending it in that we have a sort of procurement policy. We wouldn't call it that, but when we're getting food for events, for instance, we are getting it from local social entrepreneurs, from local community organizations, etc. So we make sure that as much as possible of the sort of EU-funded money or the external money has as many positive ripple effects in the community as possible. And we also show this to the commercial partners, saying that, you know, if you do it this way, you will have more impact. Yes, they're not going to be the cheapest baguettes, but that's not what really matters, is it? So the project calls also having stronger requirements on demonstrating social impact on how the money is spent locally would address that.
Thanks so much, Helena. We are finishing the time now. So very quickly, if you can, each of you share a do and a don't to leave the audience with that message before we finish.
Can I start, Anna?
Yeah.
An absolute do for everybody. An absolute do for everybody will be to read the Urban Doers policy paper, which will come out later this year, because I think it provides inspiration for all kind of different levels of policymakers, and I highly encourage you to read this synthesis of knowledge and experiences.
Okay, so don't do is don't stop, don't ever stop, just do your way and be resilient and focused and try to do what is necessary and just do what you really like and try to be connected to the community and try to reflect also the good values inside your community and try to connect with different initiatives which are doing the similar job in different countries around the world, and try not to be too narrow or try to be limitless. Yeah.
Sounds great.
I'll jump in super quick. I think do experiment and dare to experiment. And don't assume anything about who's useful for you or not, because you will find kindness in the most unexpected places, and you will find resources where you did not expect them. So yeah, never assume.
My do would be keep fostering the strong partnership between the different players, and also don't be afraid of engaging in the discussions about changing the roles, who is doing what, and who should be doing something else in the future.
Mine is along the same lines of Anna and Josip. So it's don't stop, don't stay isolated. Keep on connecting and networking with other stakeholders, with other urban doers. Do share the information. Do visit all EU available portals, and do write to us, to contact us to guide you to the right channels, and to help you get on board with us. And of course, another thing which I like is do is help the local communities, help and support the local initiatives.
All right, thank you very much for all of you to join us and to give your insights to everyone. And we will upload this recording of the webinar to our YouTube channel. You can also sign up to our newsletter and keep an eye on our website, because we will soon publish some policy recommendations from the Urban Doers to the local authorities and also to European Commission, depending on which policy recommendation we're talking about. So thanks everyone, and hope you enjoyed the Urban Landstalk.
Thanks for moderating.
Thank you.
This was great. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Nice seeing you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.